Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dani and today it's time for January's 2022 M&M'S TBR. It's the first TBR of the year and if you've noticed, we have some new things going on here. Before we start, I just want to say that if you're not on Discord yet, I would definitely recommend you to check it out because you would be able to see all the process that went into creating the new things that I created for this TBR. So I'm really excited that I got to share there and get ideas, get opinions, and I'm just so excited to play the new game. Well, it's the same game. A couple of new rules. It looks much better, but you'll see what I mean. So usually we would start with checking how I did last month with the books that I chose, that I picked from the M&Ms last month, but we're not going to do that. First of all, it didn't go well. I didn't read all the books in the TBR anyway, but this year we're changing things, so it's not going to fit exactly how I did before. This is the first M&M'S TBR that you're watching. This is a game that I play every month to pick the books that I'm going to read the following month. And the game is very simple. I pick two M&Ms for each prompt. The first M&M, I put an arrow on the top. The second M&M, I put it on the side. And whatever prompt I get is the prompt that I have to pick a book for. So what are we changing for this year? So first of all, we have some prompts here already on the board. These prompts are going to be here the whole time. I'm not going to swap them out when I get one of these prompts. And what they mean is when I get one of the colors, so red, red, orange, orange, yellow, yellow, I'm going to pick a book from this jar. Well, it's not going to be this jar every time because I don't have as many papers here as I thought it would, but I'm going to pick a book from this jar, and each color is the date when I hold the book. So brown is books that I hold in 2022, and red is the books that are the books that I hold in 2019. And you can see here where the others fall. So technically, for most of the books, brown would be the best because they're the new releases, well, not necessarily new releases, but new hauled books, new purchases. So normally this would be what I'm most excited for, but there are some others in other dates that I'm also very excited for. I'm really excited about this edition because it's going to change the game a little bit. It's going to mean something when I get two of the same color of M&Ms, and it does take away all of the control for me to pick a book because the papers have the book written in them and I have to read that specific book. But it's okay, it's fun and terrifying, and that's the game. The next new thing that we're adding for 2022 is that the rewards and the challenges are going to work differently. So before, if I didn't read all the books, I would get a challenge, and if I read all the books, I would get a reward. But I feel like that's not completely fair because just not reading one book would be all the punishment. So I could not read any of the books or just read like almost all of them and it would be the same punishment. So I wanted to change this a little bit. So the prompt that I'm going to add on the board, the first prompt that I'm going to add on the board the following month, is going to depend on how many books I read from this TBR. So the more books I read, the better the prompt. So for example, if I read almost all of the books, I get a 5-star prediction on the board, which is a great prompt. But if I don't read a lot of the books, I get a low rating prompt on the board, which is not a great prompt at all. So that's how we're going to change this. If you're curious to see what prompts mean for each number of books, do subscribe because we're going to do that in February, depending on how many books I read from the January TBR. And because I'm doing that, I'm changing, instead of picking 5 books, I'm going to pick 6 books. And we'll see. If I read all 6 books, it's a really good reward. And if I don't read any, it's a really bad reward. You know where we're going with this, but we'll see in February how that's going to all look. So before we can start, we have to put the new prompts on the board. So I have here 60 prompts. A lot of them are the same that we had before, some are new, and I'm just gonna shuffle them and put randomly somewhere. And I'm really excited for you guys to see what they look like now. I think, in my opinion, they're much better looking than what we had before, and I don't know, I'm really excited about it. Okay, it's shuffled. I'm going to put them on the board, and I'll see you in a second. There we go, we have our new prompts on the board. I don't know if you can see them well from far away. I'm going to show them as I pick, of course, but I'm really excited. It took me a long time to make this, but I think they look cute. So all the rest of the prompts are going on my Hobbit bag, as always. Just before we start picking the M&Ms, there are a few goals that I have for the year. I think this video is going to be uploaded before my goals video, but just in terms of picking books for my TBR, some of the goals, especially for January now, is that I want to put the buddy read from Discord there, which is Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. I also want to put some books that were gifted to me for my birthday in this, and I'm also participating in the Be Sure-a-thon, which is a Wayward Children inspired readathon created by the Wild Sasha. I'm going to leave her link in the description so you can check it out. And she gifted me the first book in the series, so I don't know anything about it, to pick a theme. And she has an option for people who don't know how to pick a theme. And that's the theme that I'm going with. So I'm going with the Home for Wandering Children, maybe? Something like that. So I kind of have to pick a book that fits each of the other team's prompts, which shouldn't be too hard. I'm going to try to fit them later. Like after I pick the books here, I'm going to try to fit them in the readathon. I think it should be okay, but otherwise I have the rest of the month to put other books in the readathon. And I also want to try to participate in the buzzwordathon this year, picking a book every month that fits that buzzword. And my arcs, also I want to prioritize them. There's just a lot going on. We'll see. I'm picking 6 books now, so I think I'll be able to do all that. We'll see. Let's start. Okay, so it feels like we have a good mix. Not a lot of yellows. Definitely really not a lot of yellows. But for the other, there are a lot of greens. For the others, I think it's a good mix. So let's do this. The first M&M for the first book of 2022 is orange. The second M&M for the first book of 2022 is orange again. Oh my god, we're getting the first book from the jar already. So this is the prompt from January to June of 2020. The books that I hold in this time. Like I said, this prompt is always going to stay here, so I'm putting it back on the board. But let's see what we have here. There are a lot of oranges. But I honestly don't remember anymore which were the books that I hold in that time. For sure, none of the ones that I can fit in any of this TBR, any of these goals that I mentioned. But let's see. I have to pick an orange paper from here. Let's mix this up a little bit and go with whatever, because I don't know what is in here. One rule for this: if I pick a book that is a sequel to one that I haven't read yet, I'm going to put it back. Well, I'm going to pick another one and then I'm going to put it back. So it's always there for when I get to that point in the series. But let's see. Okay, which is the case for this one. Is it going to focus? Probably not. I'm gonna try to use this to see if it's focused. Yes, perfect. Okay, so A Conspiracy in Belgravia is a sequel to Studying Scarlet Women, which I haven't read yet, which is probably there on the same color. So I'm going to roll this up again. I'm not going to put it back in there immediately because it risks that I pick it up again. So I'm going to just leave it on the side and pick a new one. So another orange. This one. Let me get my planner again so I can open this for you to see. A Conjuring of Light. This is from the Darker Shade of Magic, but I really don't know if it's the second or the third. I only read the first one. It is the third. I can't read it either. Rolling it up again. I'm afraid to say this because I'm probably gonna jinx it, but I wouldn't want to read A Darker Shade of Magic right now. I kind of want to reread the first book before I continue. So hopefully we're not going to get the second book in the series. So let's get another orange. This. Oh, stuck in my hair. Let me open here in my planner again. Is this upside down? It is. Sherlock Holmes. Not what I wanted or expected or okay. So this is what I have to read. So Sherlock, I'm actually going to put this one back in the jar thing because actually I have 4 books for Sherlock Holmes and I just put just the Sherlock Holmes because I didn't want to risk getting like volume 4 of it. So let me get my Sherlock Holmes collection. I actually have 4 books. I'm just gonna talk as I roll this. I actually have 4 books in this collection. I think it's all the stories, all the short stories, or all the longer stories for Sherlock Holmes. And yes, let me put all of this back in the jar. And this is the first book in 2022. Not what I expected at all. Not what I planned, but we'll go with it. This is actually a Brazilian edition that I have, so all the stories are in Portuguese, which I don't love, so I'm going to see if I can find it on my library to read the ebook, or at least have both of them to compare for some parts. I divided here for something, I don't remember anymore. But this has over 500 pages already. Okay, so this actually has 2 of the longer stories. It has A Study in Scarlet, which is what inspired the other one that I mentioned, 13 Scarlet Women. It has I don't know the name of this in English anymore, but The Sign of 4? Something of 4? And then a bunch of short stories. Okay, this is exciting. Not what I planned, but not bad about it. Let's pick book number 2. The first M&M for the second book is orange again, okay? The second M&M for the second book is blue. So we got off or the. So I have to pick a book that has one of these 2 words in the title. This shouldn't be hard, right? Okay, so the book that I'm going to pick for this prompt is The Arithmetist by Brandon Sanderson. This was gifted to me by Kelsey, and we said that we would buddy read this in January together. So I'm really happy that I could fit this in this TBR. It's really tiny and adorable, and I love this edition so much. And I don't know much about this book. It's a middle grade YA, kind of in that bridge there. Fantasy about a boy who can do, like he draws with chalk and creates monsters out of chalk. Or magic out of chalk. Something like that. But I'm really excited. More Brandon Sanderson. I just finished this whole Skyward series of what has been already released. So putting another one of his books in my monthly TBR. It has in the title, The Arithmetist, so it's going in my January TBR. Let's pick a new prompt. So excited for you to see all of the prompts that I created. Paperback. Like some of this actually have a lot of meaning behind the font that I chose or the way that I chose to write. They don't mean much, they don't matter much, but I'm just really happy. The first M&M for the third book is brown. The second M&M for the third book is orange. I'm getting a lot of oranges. And we got classic. Honestly, not what I was going for, but let me see what I can put here. There is one actually that I'm very excited to read. So that's probably going to be it. But let's see. So for my spreadsheet, I actually had Sherlock Holmes as a classic, which I consider it a classic. And now I'm adding another classic, starting the year strong, maybe. So the book that I picked for this prompt is going to be Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is this gorgeous edition. I haven't read Little Women yet. It was a big buzz, I think, 2020. Everyone was reading it because of the movie. And I want to watch the movie. I don't really know anything about the story. I know it's kind of, again, a middle grade YA kind of situation in which we're following 3 sisters and one of their friends, or 2 groups of 2 sisters. I'm not sure, but there are 4 women here that we're following right after some war or during one of the wars. I don't know much about it. But I'm really excited to finally be able to understand what people say when they compare themselves to one of these women in the story. Let's replace the prompt. This. Oh, there are two here. Wait. This. Random shelf. If this comes up, I'm going to randomize my shelf to pick a book. The first M&M for the fourth book is blue. The second M&M for the fourth book is brown. And we got high rating. What I would usually do for high ratings is that I would go on Goodreads and order my own books by rating and get one of the highest. But I have a lot of books that I acquired that were gifted to me in December that I haven't hauled yet. I haven't filmed the book haul yet, and I want to put them on Goodreads after that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to go on Goodreads and try to find a book that has over 4.5 rating, which is really, really high on Goodreads, with like more than 1,000 ratings, let's say. And I'll see what happens. Well, 4.5 is almost impossible. Okay, so I looked at the first 10 books that I have already put on Goodreads, and the 10th book has 4.4 rating. So I'm going to find a book, one of this 10 or another book that I haven't put here on Goodreads yet that has over 4.4. 4.4 rating with over 1,000 ratings. Let's see. The book that I picked for high rating has a 4.53 rating on Goodreads, so if I had added them all to my Goodreads, it would be on the top 10. And that is Exile by Shannon Messenger. This is the second in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series, which is a series that I started in December or November. When did I read the first book? I don't remember. But I really, really loved so much the first book that I want to continue the series so bad. And this is the second one. This tells the story of Sophie. She lives in our world, but she finds out that she's actually an elf and has magic. And she gets taken away to this magical world where she goes to a magical school with magical people. And just a lot of fun. Very fun adventure story that I enjoyed so much. I had so much fun reading the first one. So I'm really excited that I get to continue this series in January. We have 4 books so far, and I was not able to put the buddy read in there yet. Okay, let's replace the prompt with buy a book. Not something that I should be doing right now. I got a lot of books in December, so I don't actually want to get this prompt right now. The first M&M for the 5th book is brown again. The second M&M for the 5th book is, what is this? Red. It's very dark. I thought it was brown, but it's red. And we got fantasy. Okay, this is very broad, very generic. I can pick anything that I want. I don't know what I want. Give me a minute. I had to look at my spreadsheet, but the answer was really obvious and I forgot about it. I'm going to read Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. This is the first book in the, what's the name of the series? Wayward Children? It doesn't say anywhere, but I think it's Wayward Children. This, at least the first one from what I know, tells the story of this school or this house for girls who have gone to magical lands and come back to our world and they don't fit in. So their parents send them to this home, and their parents actually think they're having illusions and that was not real, but all the other worlds or all the portals that they've been through are actually real, and they get to meet other people that are like them. And it's a very short novella, and I'm really excited to start the series. So this is definitely going to fit for the Brochure-a-thon. I don't know if we reached prompt yet, but I think it's a great excuse to start a series. Let's replace the prompt. This one, M&M color. Okay, so we already have 5 books. I'm only going to get 1 more. So the first M&M for the last book of January is blue. second M&M for the final book is red. And we got series. I can't put the buddy read here, so the buddy read is going to go on top of everything else. But I wasn't able to fit the buzzword yet either. So maybe I can find a series that has one of the buzzwords for the month. The buzzwords for January are the 4 W's, so what, why, where, when, which. I don't think which is one of them. And also how, so maybe I can find a series that has one of those words. Let me think. Okay, so instead of trying to find a series that would fit that prompt, because that buzzword, because I don't think I have any, or just ones that I'm not really interested in reading right now, I decided to pick Fullmetal Alchemist Volume 15. This is the one that, in this edition, it was released in December and I haven't read yet. So this is going in my TBR. Fullmetal Alchemist is a manga series about two brothers, Alphonse and Edward, and they are alchemists, and they did something bad when they were young, and now they have to figure that out. And there's a huge cast of characters. Now in volume 15, we're way beyond a lot of the beginning story already, but I'm still loving it so much. I love these characters a lot. We're also still figuring out a lot of the secrets and things that questions that we needed answers in the beginning. So it's really great. And a manga will definitely help me get through all the other books so I can also read the buddy read and the buzzword. And I should have put an arc in here and I didn't. That's what we have for now. So this is what my TBR is looking like for January. Does it feel doable? Not really. It is also really heavy. But we're going to try. We're going to attempt to read all of the 6 books. I'm really excited for all of them, except maybe Sherlock Holmes. So if I don't get to one of them, it will probably be Sherlock Holmes. I'm going to leave it to the end, maybe, and try to get through all the other things that I also want and have to read. But yeah, this is the plan. We're going to replace that prompt next month with a prompt depending on how many books I read from this pile. So do subscribe if you want to see what that's going to look like in February. And that's it for the CBR. Remember to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye!